They said she was too small, too soft, too emotional to survive military training. A weak Btch, the general himself spat as he kicked her in the ribs during a drill. The recruits froze, watching her curl around the pain. But none of them, not even the general, knew the truth. 3 seconds later, the same girl he mocked rose to her feet, not with anger, but with a calmness that made the air shift. And before anyone could blink, the general was on his knees, begging the one person he'd underestimated his entire life, the Navy SEAL he never saw coming. And this is the story of how she became the most feared and respected warrior her unit would ever know. From the moment Lena Reyes stepped onto base, she felt the weight of eyes on her. Not admiration. Not curiosity. Judgment. Most recruits arrived with bulked-up frames, squared shoulders, and a lifetime of confidence burning in their chests. Lena, on the other hand, carried a duffel bag nearly the size of her body, her black hair tied in a messy knot, and the kind of quiet humility that people misinterpreted as fear. She wasn't there to impress anyone. She wasn't even sure she belonged. Her father had been a decorated Marine. Her mother an Air Force medic. Her older brother? A Navy SEAL whose name alone caused younger recruits to stand straighter. Lena was the only one of the Reyes family who never felt like a fighter. She felt too emotional, too sensitive, too human. But after losing her brother in a mission she never fully understood, she knew she couldn't run from the world that took him. She needed answers, and joining the military felt like the only path toward them. But training was brutal. Early mornings felt like punishment. Her muscles ached constantly, her lungs burned during every run, and even her confidence seemed to crumble with each barked command. The other recruits were polite, but distant. A few whispered that she wouldn't last the week. Still, Lena kept showing up. Day after day, sprint after sprint, obstacle after obstacle, she kept going. Not because she believed she would succeed, but because quitting felt like betraying the memory of the brother who believed in her more than anyone else ever had. Then came the day everything changed. The general himself was inspecting the recruits, a tall, hardened man known for breaking spirits faster than building soldiers. He walked past each row with cold eyes, stopping when he reached Lena. She stood at attention, hands trembling slightly. He noticed. "What are you?" he demanded. "A recruit, sir." "A recruit?" He stepped closer, voice dripping with disgust. "Or a weak Btch pretending to be one?" The word stung, slicing deeper than any blade. But before she could respond, before she could breathe, his boot slammed into her ribs with a force that knocked her to the ground. Gasps scattered across the field. No one dared move. The general stood over her. "Pathetic," he muttered. Lena held her ribs, the pain radiating like fire. For a moment, she considered staying down. It would have been easy. Expected. Safe. But then, she heard her brother's voice in her mind. "You're stronger than you think, Lena. Get up, even when it hurts." And in a single breath, something inside her clicked. She planted one hand into the dirt, then the other. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself up. Her legs wobbled, but she stood tall. Her eyes, once filled with doubt, now sharpened with purpose. The general's smirk faded. 3 seconds later, the sound of boots pounding against the ground echoed across the field. Someone was running toward them. Someone who had seen everything. And it was about to change the course of her life. The blur of movement came to a stop right between Lena and the general. Dust swirled around the newcomer's boots as he turned sharply, eyes blazing with a fury no one had seen on base before. It was him. The Navy SEAL. The legend. The ghost. The man whose name the recruits whispered like a warning. Commander Ethan Reyes. Lena's older brother. Except, he wasn't supposed to be alive. He had been declared dead 8 months earlier during an off-record mission. The military held a ceremony. Lena cried until she couldn't breathe. Her parents' hearts shattered. The world mourned a hero. But he wasn't dead. He was here, very much alive, wearing a uniform scarred with dust and stitched repairs, proof of battles he couldn't speak about. proof that the mission that took him wasn't over. The general's eyes widened, panic flickering beneath the hard mask he always wore. Commander Reyes. Ethan didn't let him finish. His voice was a low, lethal growl. You laid a hand on my sister. Recruits froze. Officers stared. No one dared breathe. The general's jaw twitched. She's a recruit. I treat them all equally. Ethan stepped closer, towering over him. You kicked her while she was defenseless. It was a test. It was abuse, Ethan snapped. And I don't tolerate cowards. The general's facade cracked. He swallowed hard, scanning the onlookers as if realizing he no longer controlled the narrative. Commander, let's not escalate. You already did, Ethan said. Now you face the consequences. The general stumbled backward. For the first time in years, he wasn't the most feared man on the field. Ethan grabbed him by the collar, pulling him close enough that only the general heard the words that followed. You hurt her again, Ethan whispered, and I will break everything you think makes you powerful. The general dropped to his knees. Begging. Pleading. A sight no one thought possible. When Ethan finally released him, the general scrambled away like a man fleeing death itself. The silence that followed was thick and electrifying. Lena stood there trembling, not from pain this time, but from shock. Tears welled in her eyes as Ethan finally turned to her. His expression softened, all the rage melting away. Lena, he breathed, pulling her into a tight, trembling embrace. I'm so sorry. I'm here. I'm finally here. She buried her face in his chest, overwhelmed. I thought you were dead. I came back for you, he whispered. I always will. The recruits watched quietly, many of them silently realizing how wrong they had been about her. She wasn't weak. She wasn't fragile. She was a Reyes. And now, with her brother's unexpected return, her journey was only just beginning.